Would you like to know more? Welcome to Almost a Podcast, episode 40 of Adventures in 3D Printing. Today we're looking at something new for me. We're looking at a range of Chaos Dwarfs called Magma Dwarfs in 10mm by Ankylo Miniatures. And these are on sale in Gumroad at about $7 a unit, which is about £5, something like that per unit, which is a pretty good value. So obviously you can't sell them commercially, but once you've paid for your STLs, you can print them to your heart's content. As is the Vogue, you get them in strips, and you also get them as individuals. You get them supported, and you get them unsupported. So lots of different choices of files. These are your Chaos Dwarf Warriors. Now, I am having a little bit of an issue with my machine. As you can see, there's some artifacts here around the base again. Almost like a raft going on. And I'm not 100% sure if the shields are meant to be embedded inside the base. Or if that, again, is something going on with my machine. I did have a problem last time I printed dwarves in that we lost quite a lot of feet. And although I think I can still see the feet under the, I think in the, you can see his boot. I'm not sure what's happening with the shields. Again, you've got to imagine that this miniature that you're seeing on screen is probably as little as, is it 6mm maybe? Let's get him down there. So to the eye, maybe 7mm. So, I mean, they are very small miniatures with very big hats. Let's have a look at the top of the hat, because it probably goes way past 10mm to the top of the hat. So, we got a 7mm miniature, and to the top of the hat, it's like 15, like double the size maybe, once you get the hats involved. But they do have preposterously big hats. And a skull on top of the hat in true GW fashion. Massive hat, skull on top. God's job's a good one. So we have all kinds of symbolisms on the shields. These cleaned up better. I used the same technique to wash these as I did the Bretonnian men-at-arms, and these have come out considerably better. And I do want to send a big shout out because, yes, these are a little bit more static, obviously, than the men-at-arms that I've just printed from Forest Dragon, but they had literally no supports, literally zero support. I think in the entire unit, there may have been one support, which when you come to clean up after printing, obviously if there are no supports to clean off, that is a big bonus. So, yes, they're a little bit static, but ranked infantry does look a little bit static. They're quite small because dwarves are small, and they got big hats. So, but the fact that they were so easy to clean off support is down to the design. So if you can look here, you're printing this way, so it gets to the hands, prints the hands, and then this kind of curved blade of the whatever it is, halberd or whatever they've got, kind of goes up at an angle, so it doesn't need a support. So nice bit of design. Maybe that's why the shields are actually touching the floor, in that prevents the need for any supports there. Because again, I don't want to compare sculptors, because it's like comparing artists. I mean, some people like one type of artist, like some classical Van Gogh or whatever, and some other people like Banksy. Well, it's all art, and it all has its merits. So from a personal point of view, I would prefer shields to be touching the floor like this and not needing supports, rather than every shield needing multiple supports because it's raised fractionally from the ground. And if it's raised, I don't know, whatever, 2-3 mil, maybe not even that from the ground, it's going to need supports just by the nature of how this printing works. So for me, there's a balance between art and functionality. So what I like is this, a strip with minimal cleanup needed, that will look good on the table. Because at the end of the day, we're playing with 10mm miniatures that you see from 6 feet away. So, yeah, yeah. They are my views. Other people have different views, obviously. People who love painting love crazy levels of detail. But for me, these hit a nice sweet spot in, I didn't have to spend very much time cleaning up at all. They printed as easily as anything as you'd expect because they're nice little miniatures, and yeah, there's not a great deal going on. They were fantastic. I think the whole batch printed in about an hour. So I mean, crikey, you do the math. 3 units, 1 hour is what I got on my bed. So we printed off the warriors. That's the first lot. We have the command bit for the warriors. So yeah, these cleaned up much better than the other ones, and that's not the problem of the miniatures I did in episode 39. That was my cleanup. So bad me. But this does show that the cleanup can work, I guess. That doing slightly less water and then some IPA to get them into, and because if you use water on them, it takes ages for them to dry. So I thought using the IPA would get them dry quicker. So even this bit here didn't need any supports because of the angle. So I think the only support was on maybe that horn there, or maybe I can't even remember. There was one support on the whole unit. Yeah, so I know I've gone on about that a lot, but when you print something, the kind of procrastination comes around. Have I got the time to clean off the supports now? But once I've washed them and before I cure them. So if there are less supports, there's less of a kind of drag on your. Yeah, I'll just go and do that now. Whereas with if it takes 20 minutes per unit to clear up support, I've got to have an hour. Whereas this, if I've got 10-15 minutes, I can just chip off and do it. So fantastic, nice skull motif here. You can never have too many skulls. That's my philosophy on life. Good stuff. Right, and then so that's the warriors. You need 2 units of those per 1,000, so 4 units in a list. These are the blunderbusses. They got the same rules as ogre lead belchers, actually, because they're quite tough. Unfortunately, in Warmaster, shooting units don't tend to have armor, so they've only got 6 up armor. They have to lose an attack, really, and they're still expensive. So, unfortunately, but they do have a purpose. I think they shoot 2 shots each at 15. So, the way these were designed, again, there was no supports needed because they're holding their guns up. So these are your second rank. We can see a little bit more of the feet on these ones from the back. Again, I did say that I'm not sure what's happening with the basing. There may be some of the feet are getting eaten, but you can definitely see here more feet. But that foot on the warriors may well have been hidden by the shields. So one thing, if you were hypercritical, you could say, well, there's not a giant amount of variety in the poses. But historically, with metals, there aren't a great deal of variety. I mean, some manufacturers sell metals with only a couple of different variants of basic rank miniatures. I mean, on my demon range, I went for what was it, about 12 variants, and then command also in 11 variants of command. But when you're dealing with 10mm stuff, it's quite hard to see any detail anyway from across the table. These handlebar moustaches are fantastic. I don't think I've seen that too often with Chaos Dwarfs. I like it. It goes well with your big helmets. These are the front rank of the blunderbusses. So, oh, come on, get in focus. So obviously they had a support or 2 all the way along here, underneath, which we won't really see from the top. And they were pretty easy to clean off if you did it in a methodical manner. So obviously a couple of supports on each of these. They've actually got a command. So sometimes shooters are in little 2s, so one behind each other, shooting each other in the head. I think this is probably quite a clever idea to just. I never really understood why they were ranked differently, the shooters. Maybe you could make a more skirmishy looking unit, but why not just put them in strips? Keeps life simple. So, and then the third unit I printed off, all on the same bed. So I'm using a Photon Mono. So it's not the biggest bed in the world, but you can still get 3 units out of it. Are the Orcs. And I think this guy's got a peg leg, hasn't he, here with a big mallet. So a little bit haphazard in their weaponry. You've got clubs, pickaxes. Looks like a door here, or a coffin lid or something. as a support. No, I can see. Maybe this is a wooden leg here. I like that. Unless his foot has been swallowed by the base. A little bit monkey-like, the orcs. But I mean, orcs come in all various shapes and sizes. And he's got a chainmail vest on. Yeah. I like them. So these are, I believe these are Orc Slaves. So the same as normal orcs, but a little bit cheaper, I think, because they're they cause you some problems if you try and order them on their own. So there's some supports I haven't managed to clear up in here, but I think there were more supports on here than on either of the other two, but still not a ridiculous amount. Okay, yeah, because if you look here, this is what I was talking about with that shield issue a second ago. I'd rather that shield was just on the floor and didn't have those 3 supports that are virtually impossible to remove. Because, yeah, although it kind of looks a little bit better that he's kind of covering his face a bit more defensively, if you just dropped it down or made the shield bigger, then you could remove the need for those supports entirely. Okay, we're going along the line here. I like this bucket head motif. I talked about it on the main podcast. I think that's from Divinity 2, where early in the game you can use a bucket as a helmet for a little bit of armour. Nice little homage to a good little role-playing game. The same company are doing Baldur's Gate 3 at the moment, but I can't be bothered with the early access stuff. I'm not paying you full money to test your game for you and then play it again when you release it. Come on, man, life's too short for that. If you want me to do beta testing, then don't expect me to pay for it. What a world. So this is, I'll just say it again, Ankylo Miniatures. You get them on Gumroad. They kindly sent me the STL, so I'm going to be printing out everything from his range at some point. So I've done some now. I'm going to do some more in the next week, and I'll get those out. But if you want these, if you want to play Chaos Dwarfs and maybe you've had your hands burned in the past, it's kind of time to just shrug your shoulders and move on, I think. For not much money, about $60, so what's that, about £40, you can get all the STLs you need and get yourself a Chaos Dwarf army, which I'm actually quite looking forward to playing in the game, because it's not an army I've had access to, so it's not an army I've played with. But they've got a lot more variety than your basic dwarf, but then they don't have leadership 10. So this was episode 40. Thanks a lot, Ankylo Miniatures, for sending me the STLs to review, and yeah, I'll see you on the table.